I am Michael Gabadia. Here are our top stories. Federal government halts plan 15% import duty on petrol and diesel. Wike fires back. I respect institutions, but the right thing must be done. Tinubu halt sale of farm properties nationwide. And on the foreign scene, Trump signs spending bills and longest U.S. shutdown in history. And talking sports, Super Eagles edge Gabon to stay alive in 2026 World Cup race. Now to the news in full. The federal government has suspended the planned implementation of the 15% import duty on premium motor spirit and automotive gas oil, popularly known as petrol and diesel. According to the Director of Public Affairs at the NMDPRA, George Ineta, the move is aimed to stabilizing the petrol supply chain and ensuring that fuel prices remain within reasonable levels nationwide. The authority assured Nigerians of adequate product availability during the peak demand season, sourced from local refineries and import. It also warned against panic buying, hoarding, or artificial price hike by marketers. Earlier report had indicated that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu approved a 15% add-up import duty on petrol and diesel, a move that had been suspended following industry consultation. The NMDPRA reaffirmed its commitment to maintaining energy security and ensuring uninterrupted fuel distribution across the country. With this latest directive, fuel price is expected to remain stable as the government moves to protect consumers and sustain national supply. The Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authorities made this known in a statement on Thursday, saying the policy is no longer in view. In Delta State Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has inaugurated the newly completed Odimodi, Okuta, Ugala Road in Borutu local government area, reaffirming his administration commitment to equitable development across riverine and upland communities. Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Information Charles Anyawu said the road reflects the governor's love for riverine areas, explaining it features expanded drainage system, flood-resilient culverts, and pavement, weight ranging between 6.5 and 10 meters. Chairman of Borutu local government, Julius Akeme, thanked the governor for ongoing projects in the area, including the Kiagbodo Technical College and the Ayakoromo Bridge, and plead for the construction of a direct access road to Borutu town, which is described as the only local government headquarters in Nigeria without a road link. Also speaking, Borutu born lawmaker Julius Pondi assured the governor of the constituency's unwavering support, declaring that Borutu does not speak with the microphone, we speak with results. In his goodwill message, chairman of the community, Bright Gowa, said the new road goes beyond physical connectivity, calling it a symbol of unity, progress, and improved quality of life for the people. The governor was joined by top government officials and community leaders who described the project as a symbol of unity and progress for the people of Borutu. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has defended his action during a recent confrontation with a naval officer in Abuja, insisting he acted lawfully and in defense of government officials carrying out their duties. The minister spoke on Thursday, explaining that the dispute-led land in the Gadowa district was legally allocated to a private company, not the military, and that any contrary claims were misleading. He recalled how respected national figures, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo and General T.Y. Danjuma, had already handled such matters with civility and proper communication. Citing them as an example of institutional respect, Wike maintained that the issue was not a military versus government conflict, but a case of an individual acting outside the law. The clash which took place on Tuesday between the minister and the naval officer identified as Lieutenant Yerima was captured in a viral video that sparked widespread debate over the limit of the ministerial authorities and military involvement in civil affairs. While some critics accused Wike of overstepping his bound, others backed his insistence that due process must prevail. As reactions continue to trail the incident, Wike says he remains committed to enforcing the law without fear or favor.
These are people who, they're all retired generals. These are people with constant discipline, former president. They never send soldiers. They never send anybody to go and attack anybody. They just call you. And respect the gas, respect. I have to respect. And I'll tell them, sir, don't worry. I will sort out the... And I will do. I won't even talk about other people who are highly placed. They will come to you. Mr. Minister, maybe we didn't know of this. If we knew, we would have done it like this. When a serving Major General attacked the development control, I wrote a letter. The President Chief of Defense Staff was Chief of Army Staff then.
Wike, reacting to widespread criticism, said the decision was not about challenging the military, but about protecting institutional authority and upholding the rule of law, stressing that no one is above accountability. Away from that, the House of Representatives has called on the Federal Ministry of Education and the West African Examination Council to suspend plans to introduce computer-based testing for secondary school students starting in 2026. Nwogu drew attention to recent glitches on the WAEC 2025 result checking portal, describing them as clear warning signs that the examination body lacks the required technological capacity for a full computer-based system. The House also debated the poor sanitary conditions across parts of the Federal Capital Territory and raised alarm over rising insecurity caused by non-functional streetlights in Abuja and environs. Another committee was subsequently set up to investigate waste management lapses and the state of public infrastructure in the FCT, with recommendation expected from both legislative and executive action. For now, WAEC plan to do digital, or rather go digital, in 2026 faces major scrutiny from lawmakers who insist that readiness, not speed, should drive the nation's education reforms. Lawmakers said the country is not yet ready for such a transition, citing technical failures and poor infrastructure as major concerns. The resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance raised by Representative Kelechi Nwogu on the on the floor of the House. We need to go on a break now, and when we come back, more news across Nigeria, as well as business, sport, and foreign news. Join us again.
Don't miss out on exciting news, events, and more. Stay connected by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV.
Welcome back now to the rest of the news. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the exclusion of all properties belonging to the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria FAN from the ongoing sale of government assets to private individuals. The directive, followed by the Federal Executive Council, follows years of ownership disputes involving airport quarters in cities like Kano and Lagos. The affected properties were initially marked for disposal by the Presidential Committee set up during the Obasanjo administration. Keyamo explained that several individuals had claimed ownership of farm quarters under previous arrangements, but the new order nullified those sales. It made it clear that all farm properties across the country are now officially exempt from sale. The minister reaffirmed that the directive appeals nationwide and applies and warned all private individuals occupying farm quarters to vacate as the government prioritizes safety and operational efficiency in the aviation sector. Aviation and Aerospace Development Minister Festus Keyamo says the decision ensures that critical aviation staff, including air traffic controllers, firefighters, and security officers, remain housed within the airport premises for emergency operation. I described the exclusion as a move to safeguard aviation safety and restore order to government property management. The federal government has raised alarm that Nigerians' booming appetite for pomo, the popular cowhide delicacy, is crippling the nation's about $5 billion leather industry. Ikemoso explained that Nigerian leather goods market, currently worth about $2.79 billion United States dollars, could grow to nearly $5 billion by 2033. But only its hides and skins are used for production and not cooking. He clarified that the campaign tagged "Wear, Not Eat Your Leather" isn't about banning tradition, but about protecting an industry that could rival oil in export revenue. The DG also sounded a health warning, saying most hides sold as pomo are treated with dangerous chemicals like formalin and diesel, posing serious risks such as organ damage and also cancer. He maintained that pomo offers little nutritional value and urged Nigerians to cancel cow hinds into industrial use for greater national benefits. The Nigerian leather sector is ranked among Africa's most promising, but officials say unchecked pomo consumption could derail its potential as a top non-oil revenue source. At a national campaign against pomo consumption in Abuja, the Director General of the Raw Material Research and Development Council, Professor Ike Muso, warned that diverting hides meant for leather manufacturing is costing the country jobs, foreign exchange, and industrial growth. Away from that to the foreign scene, after 43 days of paralyzing government shutdown, President Donald Trump has signed a short-term spending bill to reopen federal agencies and restore normal operation across the United States. In the Oval Office, President Trump acknowledged the toll the shutdown had, saying people were hurt so badly. The shutdown, the longest in U.S. history, disrupted air travel, halted food and programs, and froze multiple government services. The Federal Aviation Administration had been forced to cut air traffic operations due to staffing shortages, while thousands of federal employees either worked without pay or were furloughed. With the president's signature, services are expected to resume in the coming days, bringing long-awaited relief ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. For millions of Americans and federal workers, the end of the shutdown marks a return to normalcy, at least for now, as Washington prepares for another round of budget negotiation in the weeks ahead. The bill was passed, or rather, which passed the House of Representatives by 222 to 209 votes, followed a narrow approval by the Senate earlier in the week, finally ending the deadlock that left over 1 million federal workers unpaid. Still on the foreign scene in Washington, President Donald Trump is celebrating what he calls a major victory after Democrats face public backlash for the end of the 43-day government shutdown, the longest in U.S. history. Federal employees are returning to work, airports are back to full operation, and national parks are reopening. But political analysts said the cause have been enormous, billions lost in productivity, shaking public confidence, and deepening partisan divide. Senate Democrats has initially forced the shutdown, demanding an extension of health insurance subsidies for low-income Americans. However, when a few Democrats broke ranks to vote for reopening the government, they gained little beyond a promise of a future Senate vote with no guarantees of Republican backing. The White House, meanwhile, hailed the outcome as a win for the president, accusing Democrats of playing politics with people's paycheck. With the shutdown over, attention now turns to whether both parties can bridge the divide, or if America is headed for yet another budget showdown before the year ends. The shutdown, which paralyzed federal services and left hundreds of thousands of workers unpaid, officially ended after Trump signed a temporary funding bill restoring operation across the country. Talking sport, Nigerian Super Eagles have kept their 2022 FIFA World Cup hopes alive with a thrilling 4-1 victory over Gabon after extra time in Rabat, Morocco. It was a dramatic night under the rain in Rabat as Akon Adams opened his scoring for Nigeria after pouncing on a defense error in the 78th minute. But Gabon, Mario Lemina, stunned the Eagles with a 89th minute equalizer, forcing extra time. The Super Eagles responded with class. Ejike fired Nigeria ahead before Sime redeemed himself with a brace, tearing off his protective marks in jubilation. The Galatasaray forward doubled and saw Nigerian schools to a 4-1 win, keeping alive their dream of returning to the World Cup after missing Qatar 2022. The Super Eagles will now battle either Cameroon or the Super Eagles will now battle Democratic Republic of Congo in a Sunday's final playoff at 7 p.m. GMT with a ticket to next year's World Cup Intercontinental Qualifiers on the line. Goals from Chidera Ejuke and Victor Osimhen sealed the win as the Super Eagles advance to the final round of African playoff, where they will definitely face Democratic Republic of Congo, who defeated Cameroon 1-0 for a place in the global showcase. The Nigerian Aquatic Federation has partnered with the Nigerian University Games Association, NOGA, to identify and develop the next generation of swimming stars across the country. At the swimming event jointly organized by NOGA and the Aquatic Federation, Chamberlain commended the university body for advancing competitive sports among students and described the partnership as a strategic move to rebuild Nigeria's aquatic sport base and unlock future Olympic prospects. The association president noted that swimming remains one of Nigeria's most rewarding medal sports, urging greater investment to sustain momentum. He added that the joint initiative will create a clear pathway for young university swimmers to rise from campus competition to international competition. With a growing pool of young athletes emerging from the games, both NOGA and Aquatic Federation say Nigerian dream of producing world-class swimmers is now within reach. Federation President Chamberlain announced the partnership during the 27th Nigerian University Games in Jos, saying the collaboration is already producing promising young talent with medal-winning potentials. And that very sporting news brings us to the end of the news, all right here on Atlantic TV. I will always insist, if you have any news worthy report that you feel we can bring, do well to reach us on our different social media platforms. I'll be more than happy to have them here. I still remain Michael Gobadia. Bye for now.